Hello viewers, this video is about a Java application using JDBC connecting to MySQL database, and here I'm using IntelliJ IDEA IDE. So let's get started with a new project. So new project, and I'll give it as JDBC MySQL DB, right? And then let's keep it as Java and IntelliJ subsystem and create. Okay, so my project is created, and then if I get into main, so we have a main here. So let's run the main. Okay, so I got the output here. So hello world. So this is pretty much running. So my objective is to connect this particular application to a MySQL database, right? So what I will do is I'll go to MySQL, then click on the connections, right? And then I'll create a new schema. So by clicking on the icon at the top, it's icon number 4, and we just can name this as MyDB, and then I'll give as JDBC, right? So I'm creating a new schema so that I can connect it from my IntelliJ using a Java application, right? So I gave it a name and simply click on the apply button. Okay, and then a create schema SQL script is generated, auto populated, right? And then you just click on apply, and it also will prompt us whether or not to execute SQL statements, and simply click on the finish button, right? And MyDB JDBC will be available here. So the structure is there. You can start creating some tables, but I'm not interested at the moment. So I'll just keep it this name, and then we'll try to connect it using your Java application. And here the challenge is I would like to connect this particular IDE no matter whichever platform it is, or an operating system, whether it is Mac, whether it is Windows, whether it is Linux. Using IntelliJ, I would like to connect to the database. So that is the problem statement. So what I will do is I'll open a browser, right, and then do a Google search. Okay. And then we'll check for a connector which is platform independent. Okay, so I'll just do a connector J, and I have got a lot of different links throughout, and then I would like to go ahead using one of this, right? So let's get to dev.mysql, click on the same, and it will show the connector J8.3 4.0, right? And it is prompting me to select an operating system because I want it as a platform independent. So there are different options, right? Ubuntu, Debian, Linux, Fedora, and all that. So I'll use the platform independent, right? So I can choose any of those, but platform independent, and I'll try to use the zip format. Okay, so which is 4.8 MB, right? And then simply click on the download button, and then it will prompt for a sign up login, but not required. You also have just start my download thing. Okay, and then simply click on the download. So let's navigate. The download is completed, and let me just navigate to the downloads folder, and then there you go, we have got the downloads folder. Yeah, so what I will do is I will cut it from here and then just place it into one of my folders, right? And what I will say is new folder. So let's say MySQL connector is a folder name, and then simply paste the zip file here, and then because it's a zip file I have to extract this. So trying to extract, and simply extract it here, right? So it will take some time because the size is a little bigger. Okay, so we'll just wait for the extraction to happen. So it has successfully extracted. So let me just get into it. So we don't require this compressed zip file. So what I will do is I'll simply delete this, and if I get into your connector, and there you go, this is the connector, which is an executable jar file, right? So I'll be using this particular jar file, and then I'll establish the connection, right? So this is in place, E drive, MySQL connector, and then one folder we just get inside, right? And then we'll come back to our application, and then we'll try to code it. So I'll just knock off, this is a JDBC connectivity, right? And then I'll add some code right away. So here what I will do is I will use class.forName to load the JDBC driver, so which is com.mysql.cg.jdbc.driver. Okay, and then this for name, so I have added a class.forName and then the driver, and did the exception handling. So otherwise what it does, it will throw an exception. And then what I will do is further I'll use the connection class from java.util, SQL and then create an object. So I'm just trying to connect to the database, right? And then we have the driver manager, which is also a part of java.sql, and get connection, right? So here it will take 3 arguments. One is the URL, right? Let's put URL. Second argument would be the username or the user ID of your database, and the third argument will be the password, right? So 3 arguments it will take to establish a connection. It will authenticate and then it will do the job, right? And again there is an unhandled exception, which is java.sql exception. So surround it with right catch block, and we can resolve in many ways. So what I will do is I'll just use the throws keyword and then I'll do the SQL exception. So that way this is also resolved, that get connection is also resolved. Now the password for my database is admin and the username is root. This is my MySQL credentials, and the URL, what I will do is I'll go back and then click on the home button, and on the MySQL connections just right click and copy JDBC connection string to clipboard, right? This is from where we are trying to get the URL, and for this you can see the root is the username and admin is the password, right? So this is where my schema is residing. So I quickly copied it, and because I already have the user done it separately, so I'm knocking it off, and instead of the IP, so I'll just put localhost. So we have the URL JDBC :mysql localhost, and 3306 is the port number, and I also have to add the schema name here. Username and password are there, right? So if I go back to the connection, and then we have created our own microde schema, right? So we just pick up that and then I'll say my crude schema. So, and also once we had this, check if the connection, I want a confirmation on the console. So if the connection doesn't return anything, so what we'll do, we'll simply do sysout saying that connection failed, right? Else we'll say the connection is successful, right? And then if we run this, let's try to run this. And see what happens. And you have an exception, right? Exception, runtime exception, and ClassNotFoundException. So it is pointing to the driver saying that there is a problem and it cannot actually find the driver. hence it is throwing the exception. So resolve this class not found exception. Go to file and then we'll go to the project structure, and then we have modules here, and simply go to the modules. We can actually add some dependencies, right? We just click on the plus button and then we'll click on the first option. There are three options: library, module, dependency, and all. So let's click on the jars because we already have it, and so we to the MySQL connector, okay, and then select this. Okay, so the jar file has to be selected, and then click on OK, and we have got it in the project, and click on OK. Okay, and then if you look at the external libraries, we have got the jar file. So let's run it one more time and check. Okay, and then you can get the output as success, connection with the database is. So we have successfully written some Java code, added the relevant jar files, and have successfully established a connection with the database where we have created a schema. Thanks for watching the video.